Wisconsin, where that wind is relentless up here, Gary.
It is so. I think we picked maybe the wrong spot here. The wind is really blowing down the track on us, but hey, I'm enjoying myself.
We are awaiting the start of the Pro Stock Final. The sleds have still not made their way onto the track, but we can tell you coming up in that race, the 10 entrants, it's Jim Herzig, Paul Nisnik, Mike Cool, Chad Remish, Brian Sturgeon, Claude Racine, Keith Young, and Dan Sturgeon. And this looks to be a tight race. So a lot of these guys have been running great all weekend, including Jim Herzig and Paul Nisnik. They've really had some great running and qualifying.
I've seen, yeah, every time I've looked out there today, I see Jim Herzig running up front. He's going to have some competition in this race from Mike Cool. It's supposed to be a close class. These machines are the same type of machines that you will see out on the trails. They put some studs carbides, and yes, it should be close racing.
All right, they're getting ready to bring the sleds out onto the track. We're going to take one more time out. We'll be back with the Pro Stock Final after this. You're watching the hottest sleds on ice from Eagle River. Welcome back to Eagle River, Wisconsin, where the sleds for the Pro Stock Final are making their way towards the starting line. We are anticipating an exciting race, and once again, it's anybody's race here.
Yes, it is. I think any one of these guys that have made it to the starting line today can win.
It's a 10-lap race with 10 entrants. Once again, real quick, Jim Herzig, number 45, Paul Nisnik, number 42, Mike Cool, number 22, Chad Remish, number 147, Brian Sturgeon, number 30, Claude Racine is number 22T, Keith Young is number 28, and Dan Sturgeon is number 21. They are making their way to the line, so we are going to throw it back up to the tower for the track announcer, Chris Altman and Jeff Litcher.
28, Keith Young, Springfield, Vermont, on an Arctic Cat. 42, Paul Nisnik of Medford, Wisconsin, on an Arctic Cat. Paul running very well earlier today and just had some bad luck. 45, Jim Herzig of Fond du Lac on an Arctic Cat. He has 3 checkered flags today already. 147, Chad Ramish of Land O'Lakes on a Skidoo. And 30, Brian Sturgeon of Thief River Falls, Minnesota, on an Arctic Cat. Ted Otto lifts the green flag, and we are off as Ramish gets going pretty well on the inside, along with Mike Hool, as those two get down into that first turn. Claude Racine takes it on the outside. It's going to be Hool, Ramish, and Racine down the back stretch, and now Claude Racine pulls ahead of Chad Ramish. We've got Herzig down there, as usual. Jim Herzig and Brian Sturgeon as they come out at turn number 4. And Mike Hool will be your leader, I believe, or is that Claude Racine? We got the 222s up there in front. And that's Claude Racine, but now Mike Cool down the backstretch, challenging. He'll have to fall back into second momentarily. A pair of 22s up there in the lead. Ramish is right there challenging. Ramish trying to duck under Hool as they come down the home stretch. Claude Racine and Mike Cool, Chad Ramish, Jim Herzig, and Brian Sturgeon, and Dan Sturgeon right up there too. And Herzig on the backstretch is going to take over the 3rd spot. Keith Young out, coming out of turn number 2. He's okay right down on the inside. I'm sure he's not very happy, but he's okay. Racine, Hool, and Herzig. Herzig now challenging, getting right beside Hool as they go into turn number 1. And coming out, it's Mike Hool taking over the lead in the backstretch. Herzig moving into second, now trying to move into first. Jim Herzig and Mike Hool side by side in turn number 3. Coming out of turn number 4. This is a 10-lap final. We may get 10 laps of this, folks. Hool and Herzig. 6 laps to go. Hool out of turn number 4 with the lead as he took it back over. Here comes Herzig down the backstretch as they both poured on, slow down, go into turn number 3. And right behind them is Chad Ramish. Chad Ramish still hanging around there. Dan Sturgeon has moved up into the 5th spot now. And Sturgeon is challenging as Herzig takes over the lead. Coming out of turn 2 down the backstretch. Herzig trying to pull away now. I'll tell you what, this has been his formula for victory here today. He's had 3 checkered flags already and going for a 4th. And another sled out right down there behind Young. That's Nisnik. So Nisnik out of this race also. Bad luck today for Paul out of Medford, Wisconsin. Herzig down the backstretch, pulling away from Hool now. Out of turn number 4, coming down to the start-finish line, Jim Herzig, Mike Hool, Chad Ramish in 3rd, and Brian Sturgeon in the 4th spot, and Dan Sturgeon in 5th right now. As they go into the north turn, Herzig maintaining a fairly comfortable margin. Ramish coming up now to challenge Hool a little bit. Your top 3 studs across the start-finish line, Brian Sturgeon and Dan Sturgeon. In the 4th and 5th spots, now spinning out a little bit is Chad Ramish, and Hool is going to pull away a little bit and solidly in 2nd place, but it's the man today, Jim Herzig, Fond du Lac, Wisconsin on an Arctic Cat. He gets the white flag. One more lap to go to get his 4th championship win today. Into turn number 1 as he's cruising out of turn number 2. Down the backstretch is Jim Herzig with a half a lap to go. Sturgeon trying to challenge Ramish for the 3rd spot now down the backstretch. But here comes Jim Herzig. What a day for the man from Fond du Lac, Wisconsin on his Arctic Cat, his 4th checkered flag. Poole finishes 2nd. Ramish will hold on and just nose out Sturgeon for 3rd. Brian Sturgeon 4th and Dan Sturgeon 5th. But Jim Herzig wins another championship here in Pro Stock.
We heard one of Jim Herzig's fellow Arctic Cat racers earlier say that his machine is handling so well that he didn't think anybody was going to catch him. Pretty good prognosticating out there on the track earlier when Jim Herzig won in one of our earlier classes, and here he is again. He's going to come around here. Probably his crew chief there on the back with him, who's got that sled dialed in so well. He'll come around to accept the checkered flag from Ted Otto. He'll take a victory lap, and then we'll hear a few words from Fond du Lac's Jim Herzig. How about those Wisconsin racers out there, race fans, really putting on this show for us today, aren't they?
And the Cats are doing pretty well today, too, especially Jim Herzig's Arctic Cat.
Oh, yeah, he's going to be accepting another contingency check. And that has become a very familiar sight. Jim Herzig holding the checkered flag going around this famed ice oval here in Eagle River.
And that's his son on the back of the sled with him.
Okay. Now, he's racing in the juniors as well, isn't he?
Yes. I believe so, and I forgot his first name, and I really apologize to him. But I know Jim's first name because we've been saying it all day long. Jim Herzig down the backstretch. The crew's coming out for another grooming session here as we're getting ready for the World Championship.
We heard some of the racers last night saying how much time these racers and crew members spend away from their families. The Herzig family has found a way to stay together and enjoy the sport that they love the most. Here he is once again. Let's give him a big hand, Wisconsin race fans, for Fond du Lac's Jim Herzig. Let's go down now to flagman Ted Otto and hear.
All right, we will hear from Jim Herzig with Christy McMillan coming up a little bit later on. Right now he is going to address the crowd as Ted Otto interviews him for the fans here at Eagle River, and bringing Gary Visser here. And Gary, quite a race. Jim Herzig nip and tuck for much of the race, then managed to pull away. 4th win of the day. He won 3 earlier races before we came on the air.
He's won 3 early, and he's won them all the same. He's come from back in the pack. He seems to have dialed in the machine with the clutching and the carburation to come on later in the race, and obviously a very strong individual.
No question about it. In a strong performance today, Jim Herzig takes the checkered flag. We are going to take another timeout. When we come back, we'll hear from the victorious Jim Herzig. You are welcome back to Eagle River, Wisconsin. The Pro Stock Final was an exciting race, and Christy McMillan saw it all from down at the track level. Right now she's joined by Jim Herzig, who was victorious. Christy?
Synthetic blend suspends the dirt on the...
All right, thanks a lot, Dave. Joining me now from the Pro Stock Finals here is Jim Herzig. And Jim, nothing new for you here to take the checkered flag, your 4th one of the day.
Yeah, it's been a real busy day, and we've had a great time, and weather and conditions are great, so it just worked out good for us.
Once you took the lead there, after a while, you never looked back. You continued that lead for the entire race.
I don't like to look back at all because it breaks my concentration, so I like to concentrate on what I'm doing. The track's getting a little bit rough, so I had my hands full as it was.
Obviously, a very good job by your entire crew having that sled working very well with your 4th win today.
Yeah, we brought it back in the pits, broke up a couple of times, and they put it right back together, and it ran great the whole time.
All right, thank you very much, and congratulations on your 4th win of the day. Jim Herzig, the Pro Stock winner for the 4th win of the day. We're going to go back up to Dave.